Welcome back to NHL Now. Well, the big news here on this Thursday afternoon, the Colorado Avalanche just inked Marty Necas to a contract extension worth $92 million.
$92. That would be a great
That's a massive discount over 8 years. That's an AAV of $11.5 million, as reported by our own Elliot Friedman here. As you can see, everything that's going on with it. Another UFA off the board, front loaded too, with that $60 million signing bonus. This is going to be an interesting few years for the Colorado Avalanche. And by interesting, I mean good, as we welcome in Elliot to give us more information on this extension. I know you've been tracking this one closely. What was your initial reaction when you found out?
Well, LG, once I knew you were working, I knew you'd be happy with your pro-Avalanche bias. You'd be very happy that this happened. I'm not. That's outstanding. Really well done. Really well done. I'm not hugely surprised. I thought he would stay, and the reason I thought he would stay was the Avalanche are a good team, a good organization, and I think people want to play for good teams that have a chance to win. So I wasn't hugely surprised he signed. Like, if you would have asked me a year ago, guys, would Necas be signing for 11.5? I don't know that my answer would have been yes, but look where we're going. Like, look where the cap is going. The proof is look where the numbers are going for a lot of these players. And I think if he's going to be on skating up and down the ice with the likes of Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar for years to come, I think Necas is a perfect player to play with those guys, and I think he'll make that deal look good.
It's the new world we live in, is it not, right now? And Elliot, I don't want to jump around too much on this, but I just have to think, whenever we're talking about potential free agents, you talk about comps. And Adrian Kempe is like the only guy now. He doesn't really have comps out there. Like, is this the perfect storm for Kempe, and what maybe does that mean for him in the LA Kings?
I think, Mike, there's two. There's Kempe and there's Panarin, right? Although Panarin's a little bit older. I think when you take a look at the scores, Schmaltz is an interesting guy because he's off to such a great start, and Utah can really score. But the thing about Kempe is, I don't think that the LA Kings envisioned, like a bunch of teams really envisioned where this was all going to go with the change in the cap. And I think the Kings have had to wrap around what that number is going to be for Kempe. Now, I look at the Kings, like, I think they wanted to pitch Marner, and he never got to July 1st. I think, like a lot of teams, they wanted to see if McDavid would actually get to the market, and we know he didn't. And now, like, all the time now, we're seeing guys come off. And with that, whoever's left, their leverage rises. And, like, I think the Kings have to sign Kempe. Now, the good news for them is I think he wants to stay there. But I also believe that this has moved into a zone that the Kings didn't think they were going to have to go to. I think, they're around 9-10 million. I think that's kind of where they were hoping it would be. And now, like, you take a look at it, like the thing for Necas is I think he's 2 years younger than Kempe. So you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, we think an 8-year deal is a better chance to age better for a guy like Necas simply because he's younger. But you look at Kempe's numbers and you look at his value to that team. And if you guys have been watching the start of the year, like, he's their most dynamic offensive player by far. And, he's in a great spot. And I think the Kings have to sign him. And I think it's going to be a number that they didn't think they'd have to be at earlier in the season. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere in the neighborhood of that 11.5 that Necas just signed for.
Friedge, that's for some of these free agents. But let's talk about a guy that's under a contract right now, 7 for 7, Stanley Cup winner in Nazem Kadri. That's where it starts to get juicy. That's where it gets a little bit juicy. Like, there's a lot of people that are sniffing around for Kadri, right? Like, and there are a lot of teams that could use him, especially really good teams. He's a very good player. He's been that historically, but he's a winner now. So is that a Florida Panther? Is it the Montreal Canadiens, the way they're upwardly trending right now? The Panthers, obviously, without Tkachuk and Barkov. Or is it his original team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who I think might need him more than anybody? What are your thoughts on where the Kadri sweepstakes ultimately goes, because the Flames have gotten off to a poor start?
Well, I would say my first thought, Kevin, is unlike me, you are a true thespian. I could not do some of the stuff that you were just doing in the lead up to the question. You
Hmm.
know, I would say this. First of all, you know, I think he's at 995 or I think tonight's 996. So he's not going anywhere until he plays
That's
that
right.
1,000 game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they're gonna go through that, and then we're gonna see where it goes. I think Kadri wants to win. I
Yep.
think that it's the number one thing on him. I think in a perfect world, I believe the Flames would like to keep him. And I think that one of the things that the Flames are going to have to see is, okay, is this year a blip? If it doesn't get better, if they don't climb out of it, or do they still envision themselves still trying to contend again as soon as next year if this year doesn't get better? And can they sell Kadri on that? So that's number one. Number two, I think if he does move, Kevin, this whole league is dying for centers. Like
Exactly.
everybody is dying for centers. He could write his own ticket. Now it would have to be a deal that Calgary likes. It would have to be a deal that makes sense for him. He doesn't have full control over it anymore. But I think if you're a contender and you can show Kadri you're a contender and a contender for years to come, if it comes to that, I think he will prioritize that first and foremost. For Florida, one thing we know about the Panthers is they will prioritize winning. That's what they do, but they haven't declared Barkov out for the year yet. And until they do that, especially with Kachuk coming back, it would take some surgery for them to do it.
I'd like to lob the New Jersey Devils in that conversation as well.
Oh,
I mean, any team,
wow.
all teams would benefit with Nazem Kadri. Hey, Elliot.
Where's that
twist.
Homer thing?
Yeah, I
Where's
know.
that
Throw the
Homer
homer
thing?
up
Thank you,
again.
Elliot. I'm not the
We all
only
got
one
to plug
in
our
this
teams,
group
you
here.
know? I'm just saying.
Beauty of working in this
Honestly,
industry.
Michael, I think he'd be perfect for them too. Like
Yeah,
I
well,
agree with you. I think he's
he
exactly what they
provides.
need.
He's
Brings
a
an element that
unicorn.
they
He
need.
provides stuff that a lot of people don't have on their roster. But Elliot, I was listening to 32 probably a couple of weeks ago, and you brought this up, and I thought it was awesome. And it's kind of thinking beyond what I think most do. With all these contracts, and you mentioned, I think you used maybe the Lane Hudson contract as an example, that maybe there probably is discussions. There has to be. Being around teams, like when the way that this new market is and it's changed, you have guys who are your guys, your core pieces, that now these young guys are just catapulting past. And it's important to have that conversation of whatever that is. Just, hey, I see you. You're still important to this team. This is just the world we live in right now. This popped in my head when Thomas Harley signed too. There has to be a conversation with Miro Heiskanen, right? And Jim Nill's best GM, I think one of the best GMs in hockey. So I don't know. Have you heard any more of these types of discussions you kind of mentioned on your pod?
Yeah, like one of them, like the one that absolutely happened was Winnipeg. Like when because Connor and because Scheifele's at 8.5, and the MVP of the league's at 8.5, and they went to those guys and said, "Look, like Connor's going to shoot past you. Are you okay with this?" And those guys said, like, sign him. Like, we want to win. Sign him. It's interesting, Mike, and like you and Kevin, particularly as guys who played in the NHL, you can address this. But I had some people actually reach out to me about that and say they thought it was a really unfair position to put the players in. And they said that, like, if you're a player, if you say, I don't like that, you're going to be branded as selfish. And, like, how can a player, you really expect a player to say, anything but, yeah, do it, no matter how they feel. But I do think that teams want to take the temperatures of their rooms. I have no doubt. Like, one of the things, Emily Kaplan wrote a really good story today about Logan Cooley, that when he did his deal, he told Keller and Sergachev, they were the two guys he told because he felt that they deserved to know. And I just think that really smart teams, they understand this can be a thing. They make their players aware about it. They deal with it. They tell guys that ultimately a rising tide floats all boats. But you guys have played long enough to know that these things do happen. There are players who I had one player who called me and said that he took a long time to sign a contract because there was another guy who signed who actually ended up signing for more than him, but his team was better. And he said, I had to wrap it around my head that this guy, who I don't think was as good as me, and they had a big rivalry, was going to make more money than me. So it's a real thing. It really is.
Last thing I want to tag on that is you said the people that were like, this is a tough spot to put those players in. I just think he has to be out in the open. The unsaid is where things get problematic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
If it's not addressed. So I agree. I think it puts a guy in a terrible spot. But in the worlds we live in, the things we don't address with one another, that's where your mind starts wandering, right? Inside the locker room. That's just my
communication is key if therapy has taught us anything. Elliot, I want to circle back to this Marty Necas deal. In a different world, in a different universe, what we're kind of talking about here with the cap going up, Mikko Rantanen could very well still be with the Colorado Avalanche if things went differently. Obviously, Marty Necas is filling in pretty good in that role. Just dollar for dollar, like what sort of value is Colorado getting out of this Necas deal, especially looking ahead to the Makar contract?
Well, you know, I think this, like, it's interesting. Like, there is a 12-part podcast to be done someday on the whole Rantanen thing last year.
I need
like,
to know
it was
everything.
Yeah, I just don't think like this number, Rantanen, like this is actually under the last offer that Colorado made to Rantanen, because the last offer to Rantanen put him above Panarin, who was the highest paid winger in the league at the time, at like 11.65. So basically, they get Necas at a number lower than Rantanen was, although Rantanen is a hell of a player. I think that this whole deal was done with Necas with Makar in mind. And the Colorado Avalanche know that if Cale Makar wants to, he can walk in there and say, I'm going to call my own shot here. And I think what everything the Avalanche do is about how do we re-sign Cale Makar and make it work? And that's why things fell apart with Rantanen, because they didn't think they could go where at the time they thought Rantanen wanted to go and make it work with Makar. I think that, and they can start talking about this summer. I think if you're Colorado, you're probably just sitting here and saying, Cale Makar deserves every penny that he wants. We just hope it's not like where Kaprizov is or more. And if it's anything less than that, I think Colorado will take that as a big W.
Friedge, a little off hockey question. It's not over yet, but if the Jays are to win the World Series, how buckled will you be? Like,
Great question.
my parents stopped drinking Manischewitz, and I know you know what that is for obvious reason.
I do.
That's their wine of choice.
I can see a bottle of it right over here.
That's my parents' wine of choice, and I know they're watching right now.
Oh my God!
But how stapled will you get? Like, can we get a camera on you? Can you do some reporting going up and down Yonge Street? I was there when they won the last one, and I broke curfew. I said that earlier in the show. But how stapled on a scale of 1 to 10 do you think you're going to get?
Well, you know what?
Crumpled.
I have to tell you, Kevin, circumstances are conspiring against me. First of all, I'm trying to get a ticket for tomorrow night, and I'm working on my third and fourth mortgage to be able to get in. But you know, Saturday we have hockey night, so I can't be too bad because I got to work Saturday night.
That'll make it even better. Are you kidding?
I know. You know what? Kevin, I can go on air. If there's a game 7, I can go on air.
Come on.
If there's a game 7 on Saturday night, I can go on air on Saturday and say anything, and no one's going to care.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is, so wrong. Sunday, we're going to see me and Kevin and Kyle and DA, David Amber. We're going to see Vikings Lions on Sunday.
Oh, you guys
so it's
going
an
to
early day. Yeah, so it could be like 48 hours continuous.
That's amazing.
What a week.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What a week.
I love that.
Prepare your liver.
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
you ready for this? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That a boy.
I'm an old man, but I can still come out of the bullpen when necessary.
That's what I'm saying. You better come out throwing gas.
Yes, and congrats to your Jays, by the way. 1 win away. Oh, so exciting. As a baseball fan, I just love to see it. Thank you so much, Elliot, and enjoy the sports spectacular that is the next 3 or 4 days.
Thanks a lot, guys. Always great chatting with you. Great to speak to all 3 of you.
All right, Friedge. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you, my friend. Guys.